The Superfly 5 is undeniably an excellent soccer cleat. In my opinion, it's the best Superfly Nike has ever produced from a performance standpoint, but it is by no means a perfect product, which is what the inspiration is for today's video. I would actually make some changes. Make the right changes, you end up with a better product. Make the wrong changes, and you end up with a Joma Champion Max. What's going on, guys? Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com, bringing you the 5 things that I would change about the Nike Mercurial Superfly 5, a shoe that I think is already very, very good, but I definitely think there are some things that could be improved, or at least things that I personally don't care for as much with this current generation Superfly. Might we see some of these things in the next generation Superfly? If that does end up happening, I don't really know. This is all just hypothetical and really just ideas that I've had in my head ever since the Superfly 5 first came out. So take this for what it is. It's more or less just my own opinion. And of course, I'll explain all my reasoning throughout the video. Also, if this is something that you guys would like to see continue as a series on the channel, be sure to support this video with a like. That lets me know that you want to see more. And if there are any changes that you would make to the Superfly 5, leave those down below in the comment section because I'd be really, really curious to hear what your own ideas are. Number 1 is speed rib texturing. I don't really like it. I guess I shouldn't say that. I just don't care for it. I would like the shoes better if the upper was left completely smooth, like every other Mercurial before the current generation of Mercurials, including the Superfly and the Vapor 11. Texturing on the upper has never really been a thing. I understand with the Superflies, you've always had some texturing because of the Flywire cables, but that was not really significant enough to where that impacted touch on the ball. And really, I don't think that the current speed rib texturing really impacts touch on the ball either. It's marketed as some kind of a control type element for dribbling. I'm not really sure how having raised spots and lower spots on the upper is really going to impact your dribbling ability. But the reason why I don't really like it is because it adds thickness to the upper. And when you're talking about the Mercurial line, the signature of this line, whether it's a Superfly or a Vapor, is the fact that it's supposed to be as thin as possible and really offer that barefoot feel, which you definitely do get from the Nike Mercurial Superfly 5. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But if they were thinner, more along the lines of what we got from the previous generation Superfly 4, I think the experience would be better overall. Now, there are some advantages to the speed rib texturing in that because it is slightly thicker than the previous generation Superfly 4, which also had a Flyknit upper, it allows them to have less internal structure, which allows for a more sock-like sensation, which you do get. That was an improvement coming from the previous generation of Superfly. But again, I really would like to see something thinner overall. And as far as the speed rib texturing impacting performance, I just don't think it makes any kind of a difference that's noticeable at all. You can't feel the texturing on your feet. All you feel is the raised, thicker spots on the upper. So again, I just feel like it's unnecessary thickness, it's unnecessary bulk to the shoe. I would like to see a Mercurial Superfly or even a Mercurial Vapor. The Vapor 11 I have the same criticism of, just to be as thin as possible. That to me is the best case scenario for a Mercurial. Number 2 has nothing to do with performance. It's purely based on the look of the shoe, and that is the stripes that also come along with the speed rib texturing for the current generation of Mercurials. And obviously this varies from colorway to colorway. This is the launch color for the Superfly 5, so it's a little bit more significant, where you have the reddish orange and pink base with the black stripes. I just don't care for the stripes all that much. Again, this varies from colorway to colorway. It looks better on some, worse on others, but in general, I just don't think that stripes should be on a Mercurial. It's not really a Nike thing. If I recall, the stripes is what ADIDAS does, so I'm not sure why Nike is putting stripes on their shoes. I know this has nothing to do and really doesn't look like an ADIDAS product at all, but I think that if the shoe didn't have the stripes, it was just solid orange and solid pink, or just solid on pretty much any of the colorways of the Mercurial Superfly or current generation Mercurial in general, I think they would look a lot better. Again, more of a personal preference thing. Your opinion may differ, but let me know what you guys think of that. To me, no stripes, they'd look a lot cleaner. Number 3 is the fact that we only have a mid-cut variation of the Superfly. I would love to see a low cut. And obviously we got kind of a sneak peek of a low cut Superfly in the form of the limited edition Mercurial Vapor Flyknit Ultra. And we have seen certain spy shots of Neymar wearing what looks to be a low-cut Superfly or a low-cut next generation Mercurial, whatever it may be. So definitely with the next generation of Mercurials, it looks like we're going to be getting a top-end version, whether it's called a Superfly or something else, in a mid and a low. But I really think for the Superfly 5, it would have been awesome to have gotten something low-cut. We obviously know it's possible with the Flyknit upper, with the Flyknit Ultra, and even before the Flyknit Ultra was a thing, we got the Phantom 3 DF and the Phantom 3 Low. Again, full Flyknit construction for the upper, available in 2 different cuts. I would personally prefer a low, and in all honesty, while I understand that the Superfly 4, the relaunch of the Superfly was a mid-cut shoe, and that was a big deal in terms of its overall popularity, when you're talking about the concept of the Mercurial line in general, to be as thin and as light as possible, having more material with the collar rather than less material without a collar, I just think having less material and a lighter product overall just makes more sense in terms of what they're trying to achieve. I know a lot of people like the collar, and there would be plenty who would be upset if they completely got rid of it. But again, offer both, and I think everyone's happier in general. So if you're not gonna give us a low, then at least give us a better collar, which brings us to point number 4. I don't care for the collar on the Superfly 5. And let's think about this. The Superfly 5 launched pretty much right alongside the Nike Magista Obra 2, which has a very, very nice, much better dynamic fit collar in my opinion. I love the fact that it's contoured at the sides and then kind of dips down at the front and back. It's anatomically shaped, kind of like an ankle bone. So it just fits a little bit better for more ankle types, I would say. Ankles obviously come in different shapes and sizes. Whereas for the Superfly 5, it's basically just kind of a tube. Like there's not much to this particular design. It doesn't match the rest of the shoe, which is obviously very high tech in terms of the overall design and materials. So the reasoning for not going with something more complex design-wise, like they gave us on the Obra 2 and like we kind of got later with the Hypervenom Phantom 3 DF, I'm not really sure what the reasoning was. I just think that this shoe would benefit from having a slightly better collar in terms of the design and shaping of it, rather than the thing just being a sock tube. Remember when the Superfly 5 first came out? People complained about the looks, they complained about the colorway, they complained about the price. People complained about a lot of different things on the internet, but a very common complaint was the sole plate. The fact that this is the first Superfly ever to not feature a carbon fiber sole plate. Now I will say this, the Nike Plate sole plate is excellent. It's the best sole plate on the market. In my opinion, the best tech feature you're gonna find on any soccer cleat right now. It's a special manufacturing process that Nike uses, allowing them to make this out of one single layer of material, which obviously decreases the weight of the overall construction of the shoe, making this much lighter than the previous generation Superfly 4, following similar concepts. And it also allows the bottom of the sole plate to be anatomically shaped. So instead of a flat surface, you sit slightly inside of the sole plate. It kind of cups the bottom of your foot, allowing for a very connected and more responsive feel overall. So from a performance standpoint, it's a definite improvement over what we got from this guy. The Superfly 4, which is arguably one of the most revolutionary shoes to come out in the last 10 years, but it has a carbon fiber sole plate. Look at that. That has been one of the main appeals of the Superfly line, and in my opinion, one of the justifications for paying that premium price tag that the Superfly line has always demanded. Now, if we're honest with ourselves, the carbon fiber on the bottom of the shoe is having very little impact on the overall performance. It's basically just a thin layer of carbon fiber on top of a plastic sole plate to give it the premium appearance of actually being carbon fiber. It's obviously more expensive for Nike to do it this way. It's not decreasing the weight of the shoe. It's not really increasing performance either, but it looks really, really good. And it's almost been something, or it had been something that was expected with the Superfly line. So when they took it away for the Superfly 5, people were understandably upset. So this is the fifth thing on my list, the thing that I would change about the Superfly 5. I would add some carbon fiber to the top layer of this sole plate. I know from a technical standpoint, from a performance standpoint, it would be more material, not less, which is technically worse, not better, but you're asking $300 for this shoe. It is a top price point model. You're gonna pay more than $300 if it's a limited edition colorway or a special CR7 signature. So obviously the price point is very, very high. It would be more expensive for Nike to put the carbon fiber sole plate on there, but obviously they chose not to do it. I think that's something that should have remained a staple for the Superfly. It's something that people really, really liked. And I truly do believe that if this did have carbon fiber on the bottom, the sales and overall reception of the Superfly 5 would be a lot better, because people really, really did love the Superfly 4. And I think with the changes they made to this shoe, had they included the carbon fiber sole plate as well, it really would have been a major game changer. It would have been a very dominant product. But because it didn't have the carbon fiber sole plate, I don't think as many people were able to justify the crazy price tag, which obviously it's not the only shoe at $300, but when you have a premium material like carbon fiber, even if it's not really doing all that much in this particular situation, it really does help people to justify paying these crazy prices. Plus, it looks cool. An honorable mention, and this is very much based on my own personal preference, in terms of changes I would make to a Superfly 5, I would love to add some kind of a heel counter, specifically this one. I like this design a lot. This is a Nike Mercurial Vapor 4 SL, the pre-Superfly, if you will. You can see it has the carbon fiber sole plate, and it's also really the only shoe that was a general release model, at least, to feature the carbon fiber heel counter, which we never got on any of the Superflies. So I wouldn't necessarily expect them to put it even in the Superfly 6 if that's coming. But I love the way this looks. And just as a preference, there's no real performance benefit to internal versus external heel counters. If anything, the external ones, because they're bigger, because there's more material, they tend to add more bulk and more weight, which kind of goes against the Mercurial line. But I love the way it looks. I do like the way it feels for the most part. I think it'd be something that would be really cool on a Superfly in general. But I think in terms of what's been trending with Nike, they tend to be going away from heel counters rather than bringing them back again. Who knows what they might do in the future, but I'd really like to see this heel counter on a Superfly 5. I think that'd be really cool. Anyways, guys, those are the changes I would make to the Superfly. Those are the changes that I would personally like to make to the Superfly 5. Maybe we'll get some of these changes in the next generation Superfly if that does end up happening, but if it doesn't, who knows? I'm sure Nike will come up with something good, because again, I don't think the Superfly 5 is bad by any means, but those are the things that I would like to see be a little bit different in order for me to personally like them a little bit more. Your opinions might differ, and again, if you have a different opinion, feel free to leave those opinions down below in the comment section. Also, if you guys did enjoy this video and perhaps want to see this continue as a series on the channel, be sure to support it with a like, and also leave your suggestions if you do want to see another video like this, what shoe you'd like to see me make some changes to in hypothetical video form. That'll be awesome. I'll take a look at everything you guys have to say. And as always, if you have any questions as well, leave that down below. I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. All my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.